Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Monday. I hope everybody is surviving. It is hot.
Yeah.
Hot here in Florida, and currently it's like 100 degrees and thunderstorming. So I did not grow up like this. This is all very new to me, and I'll never get used to it. But anyways, what breaking stuff. I'm going to play our old Hillary Duff intro for a hot second. We'll let the room load, and then we will discuss end of season 2, beginning of season 3, Sister Wives in the House. So we'll see you guys in just a few seconds.
Let's go back to the beginning.
My name is Cody Brown, and you've got to meet my family. I'm a polygamist, but we're not the polygamists you think you know. I have 3 awesome wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine. My family's on the verge of a huge change. Because love should be multiplied, not divided.
Shout out to Hollylicious, who is keeping it cool in Australia.
How dare you?
What?
She is all snuggled up under the covers with her hot cocoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
So jealous.
There's always one. There's always one. Like if you were freezing cold, it'd be somebody from Hawaii on there like, oh, it's like 80 degrees. I'm going to the beach.
I just went surfing this morning.
Right?
All righty. So, well, you know who else is having a really good time? Cody. Now that he is in Vegas, he has been born again.
Right.
He is just, Janelle has never, it's been days, months, hours since Cody was last caught daydreaming. He's just lounging in his lazy boy. He's able to just breathe.
The way she is poetically.
What was your guys' thoughts on the beginning of season 2, episode 11, the season finale?
Well, I call this the beginning of the foolishness, because this is really, for me, this is where a lot of the craziness actually begins, where you start to see a lot of the big cracks in the family, especially when they first presented it to us.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And like I specifically agree with you with regards to it's like so far away. We have a lot to talk about, but the secret, we're going to talk about the secret. And I agree that is like the beginning of the end, as far as I feel like Robin views the OG's kids. This announcement. So important episodes. Although I found them like lackluster and boring compared to the earlier ones we've done.
Yeah. And I'm very like sensitive to the ick factor that you pointed out last week, Amanda. And I got super gross vibes about like what the toll this took on the kids. We have Madison say, and you know what else is like really interesting to me? I feel like the older teenagers in these early seasons were a lot more transparent with their emotions than they are now as adults, because they don't really speak out about the show. They're not participating in the show, but they're not speaking out about the show. When Madison on the show is like, I just want to go back to Utah. I'm not interested in making friends. Like my parents suck, basically, that they did this to me. She even said, what was it, at the end of season 3, episode 1, that she hates their religion.
Yeah. Way to drop them out. Well, because you stopped her from being a legend. Like, I mean, when she said that, when you stop somebody from being a legend, when a kid says, this year I was going to be a legend, that's like the top of the top. Like, she was going to be the top of the food chain at her school, and you knocked her down. So, I don't know. Like, I can see the anger.
Yeah, you know, Robin, I've noted a couple times in my notes, I'm now deeming this Robin splaining because she feels the need to explain Cody to his family that has known him for 16 years. She feels the need to explain polygamy to us and to her fellow sister wives that she's never really lived. So
Right.
it's very annoying. I get very annoyed. But she tells us in this first little segment that, you know, she was really, she didn't know if it was good for them to be in Vegas or not, but it must be good because she slept well for the first time in months, and she has an appetite again because, you know, she lost 15 pounds before they left.
Right. Right.
That must be how she was paying for that vacation, because she was saving all of her grocery money, right? Like, she didn't have to feed herself. And if she's pregnant at this point, girl, losing 15 pounds would be alarming, right?
Right.
Like,
Right. Well, she said she lost 15 pounds, and apparently she was on the mend. So it might have been that she started putting the weight back on because she was pregnant. You know what I mean? So, but I will say this, like, that whole thing, like, to be honest with you, it just rubs me the wrong, like, it always rubbed me the wrong way. And this is why I say this was kind of the opening of the shit show, because when they moved to Las Vegas, hands down, it was just selfish thing after selfish thing after selfish thing that was done, despite the fact, and regardless of how the kids felt about it, any of the other wives felt about it, it was the Cody and Robin show from that point forward. And I think that that's what turned me off about the whole situation.
Yep, I noticed in this episode it was one of the first times they're like openly admitting, "Oh, we got to get Robin a house first." And
Mhm.
you know, they justify it. They do a good job of wrapping it up, and Christine gets the big bedroom in the rental, but I'm like, "Oh, but Robin, she's got to get moved out first." They decide that's the most important. So,
Right, right. Well, and even that, like, oh, Christine, because that was like a kind of a discussion around the house, around the campfire, is that Christine got the big bedroom, and it was portrayed like, see, because and Robin even said, well, we didn't want to do it because then somebody will say she's the favorite, that's why she got it. Basically acknowledging that if she would have gotten a big bedroom, then she would have caught a lot of crap because she knows she's the favorite. So, oh, we gave it to Christine, but let's not forget, this is the 30-day rental. It's a temporary jobby. First up. Second up, they were only there, by the time they got to the second week that they were there, Christine already had a house. So she only had the big bedroom for 2 weeks out of the 4 weeks that they were there.
you're right.
And then
yeah.
from that
And
point
she admits
forward,
on camera that she had to throw a fit to get it.
right. And from that point forward, it was cash up, Robin, cash up, Robin, cash up, Robin. So yeah, I'll give a little bit so I can get a house. I'll give up the ability to sleep in a little room so I get a whole house. I would do that. Who wouldn't make that trade? You know what I mean? So no, I don't give you credit for that. You don't get credit for that at all.
Mhm. Cody describes this move as light and fluffy for the little kids, free and at peace for the adults. And the teenagers are still bitter at the moment. I took big issue with him using the word bitter. He loves to invoke that term because that, to me, the connotation there is that it's almost like unjust. Like someone's being bitter, but like they don't have a right to those feelings. They're kind of acting out of pocket. They're being bitter. When he is telling Isabel when she's going off to her surgery, he asks her, "Are you going to act like a bitter old housewife towards me?" As if her being upset that her dad isn't attending a life-threatening surgery wouldn't completely be justified. He has to accuse her of potentially being bitter. He's accusing the older kids who are traumatized by this move of being bitter about it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with that. Because it's it's such a narrow-minded view of the entire situation. And this is one of those things that is really accentuated by something that actually Ben, the nephew, said. This is that point where everything revolves around Cody and what Cody wants. So it's, are you going to be bitter because I did something that I want to do and I enjoy doing it, it's for me and I'm going to benefit from it? But are you going to be bitter, not upset or justifiably angry, but are you going to be unreasonably mad that I'm getting what I want out of this situation? And again, that just turns, like, it's just, this is that like I said, this is that turning point where Cody stops really being the nice guy and starts to take on his full villainhood, if you will, within the series.
And he's also a hypocrite, because I feel like Cody is bitter that he doesn't get to fully enjoy his new pregnancy with Robin and banging Robin all the time and their new love. And all the frowny faces are ruining, you know, the greatest thing that's ever happened to him, his new baby with Robin, you know?
Right.
Do you think Cody cried when he found out any of the OG3 were pregnant?
He might have cried because his money was tight. Like, oh, damn, you pregnant again? No! But I don't think it was tears of joy. Not at all. Not at all. But then again, how many babies did he plan with the OG3? Because they planned this baby. And I did a whole thing. Like, I don't know if I shared this with you guys last week, but a lot of stuff, as I was going through this time around, and I was doing a retrospective, and I'm reading a book at the same time, which is about the same period, a lot of things started to make a lot more sense to me. They moved here, in my opinion, this is my theory. You know, if they ever want to come on, they can come on. I'll make room for them to come on and talk to us. Any of the OG3, Cody or Robin. But I take the position that they planned on going to Vegas so that Robin could get pregnant. That was the whole reason why they moved to Vegas, was so that Robin could agree to have the baby. Because if you recall in this episode, they were talking about, we had been discussing getting pregnant this whole time, and then we decided that we were going to go ahead and move forward with it. I always assumed that they got pregnant in a rental. But then it occurred to me that Robin got the house first, and she was in her house the first week that they got down. They were in Vegas. Then if you track it 9 months from that first week, that's when Solomon was born. So they went to Vegas because it was closer to Robin's mother's house, which is why they decided to go to Vegas. But they knew that they were going to try to get pregnant. That's why they moved the entire family. That's why I say, if I'm right, that's why it was extremely selfish. Because not only did they make mention that Hunter was upset that they went down there, but they also talked about how difficult it was for Gwendolyn to transfer or assimilate over into Vegas. So you jacked up all your kids so that you can make her happy and you can make a baby with her. That is the most irresponsible, abusive thing you could do as a parent. So that's my little ranty rant. But yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with them. So it's kind of like looking at it now through kind of fresher eyes. It doesn't look good for this whole thing. It's not a good look at all.
Robin tells us, Rob explains that the investigation is not gone simply because they moved, but it's all just a mindset for them. Funny to me how they can choose when and where to worry about this prosecution. I feel like usually when you're on the lam, you're not like, shoo, I don't have to worry about it. It's just a mindset. I don't know. I've never been on the lam, but I like Bonnie and Clyde. I don't know. Were they ever like in another state thinking, oh my God, we can chill now. We can like not worry about this for a second. I don't know. Amanda.
Yeah, it's funny how that crossing that border gave that magical feeling of protection.
Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Suddenly it's all just butterflies ahead. Who cares about the old investigation?
Exactly. And I take it from the perspective of this is something I've said. Like the investigations don't stop because you move, especially go to your exciting places like Vegas, Hawaii, Puerto Rico. Like nobody's stopping the investigation. If anything, it might intensify because I want to go to Puerto Rico. Chief of police said to himself. But I think that was a storyline that was manufactured so that they didn't have to explain why they moved to Vegas to be closer to her family so that they could start their family and have this damn baby. Or not damn baby. So that they could extend their family. I'll say it that way. So that they can extend their family. Overstep it. But yeah, that's why, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, I'm so scared of going to jail. And then they get to Vegas. And there's another point that I wanted to point out that was also a little cruel. Because when they sat there and talked to the cameras about how scared they were about staying around and the police stopping in front of the house all the time and how the cops came by this morning, that's why they have to move. But the second Janelle said, we have to get the hell out of here, and Cody was like, well, let's get her truck. And she said no. Then all of a sudden Janelle is acting crazy because she's believing the bullshit that I'm telling her. Like she's believing the crap I'm giving her. And she's now saying this is why we got to go. And it worked too good. Now she's crazy. She's acting this way, and she was scared. Like Janelle was believing it, and she was legitimately scared. She believed it. But according to Robin, they knew it wasn't true. Because like she said, when we got here, it's not like the investigation is over. It didn't do anything. It didn't stop anything. So why did you rush the kids out of school halfway through the school year? Just saying.
Yeah, so they've gotten to Vegas. They're not settled yet, but it's Cody's birthday. They're going to throw him a party. And this is when probably one of the more notorious lines are uttered that will forever live in infamy when Cody says, this family's never had a birthday forgotten. And boy, did that age like milk, right?
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
It's real. And this is like part of, gosh, these last couple episodes have been not too much as far as like thrilling content and a lot of like, oh, that's like a knife to my kidney, you know? Like, so, but all Cody wants for his birthday is more kids. He needs Robin like knocked up yesterday. They've been married for like 10 months. Now, as someone who was pregnant on their wedding day, I'm not gonna like do the math and judge the timeline on anybody's road to parenthood. But when they're like, we've been married for 10 months and we haven't had a kid yet, it's like, are you serious? Like, Cody had 3 whole ass marriages before Logan came along, you know? Like, what are you talking about, Cody?
Yeah. Well, because it's kind of something that Robin had said when she was talking about it. She says, by having a child, you are now locked in. It's guaranteed that you're family forever. And I think that Cody also has that position that by having a child, he's now locked her ass into the family. Pardon my friend. I've been going crazy today. Well, have mercy. Ooh, clutch my pearls and catch
child
the
and now ass. James,
yeah.
we love you. We don't
I'm
care.
on the vapors today. But yeah, so I think that Cody's position is he's locking her in. Like, I got her, but she's not locked in because technically this is just his girlfriend. Like, if we're gonna keep it all the way 100, then take away some of the sister wife phraseology, that's his girlfriend. You know what I mean? That's his living girlfriend. He swing by the house, hit it off, and then going home to his wife, Mary. That he's got 2 extra girlfriends. That's what it is. So he has to lock her down. And I think that the pregnancy was a way for him to lock it down.
Mm-hmm. I think that was a really astute observation and comment by Robin too. Like, she knew like this was really like, what did she say? Like, kids bind a family together. I guess that doesn't completely ring true for their current state, but that certainly was the idea back then, is that, you know, you have kids together, you guys are connected for life. And it was really funny because as they're playing her saying that, they're cutting to all the family members' faces, like Janelle's, Hunter's, even McKelty, Ashton, Madison, all all of them look like, fuck, she's pregnant.
Right.
Like,
What?
that's the reaction. As she's saying, like, I'm with you guys forever now. Like, yay.
Right. Well, because here's an old school. Old school is that would be a way for you to lock yourself into the money too. It doesn't necessarily lock you into visitation, but if you look at how the family trajectory was going at the time and you place yourself, what was happening at the time? One, they had that first successful season where they were being interviewed by Joy Behar. They were on, Good Morning America. They were on the Today Show. They were doing all kinds of interviews. They were on the cover of magazines. So there was a lot going on financially. Then by the time the second season came, they started getting that book money. So they released the book, Becoming Sister Wives, woohoo! And they started getting that royalty money. And then if you are a financial-minded person, you gold digger. If you're a gold digger, you see that mine full of gold, and you say to yourself, I have to make my claim to that gold. And so I think that's why she decided all of a sudden that now is the time for me to go ahead and get pregnant. Because this was the most disadvantaged time for them to even consider having a baby. It was extremely selfish. That's why everybody was standing around like, what the hell are we doing? We moved and we broke as hell, because even though you have a promise of money coming in, you're still broke. Yeah, you famous. A lot of people know you, but that doesn't put money in the bank and that doesn't put food on the table. Mm-hmm. So they're famous, but they're still broke. And
you're not liquid, right? Like you have all these outstanding payments due or something, or you're cash poor, right? Like
right.
Yeah.
It's that promise of money. It's like, you know what this is like? This is like people who survive on income tax. Around income tax time come, everybody's like, whoa, I'm balling. And people start spending their income tax money anticipating what they're going to get at the end of the year. I'll just pay it off of my income tax. But you don't have that money yet. And if you file your income tax, it's like, oh shoot, I'm short. Like, you know what I mean? It's a different experience. And there's a potential where that could happen.
That's James, you just reminded me of every time I got like a low tax return and I was like, I had it spent in here.
Right.
Vacation.
Like, that money's already gone. Yeah, but that's how it works. And I can see her plotting and planning and said, okay, this show is about to take off. We about to become super famous. I have to lock in my position. And so I think that's why part of the reason too, why she agreed to get, go ahead and get pregnant. Because otherwise it took you, according to them, they waited so long to get pregnant. Now all of a sudden they're pregnant. Like,
I know. And is she just like fertile like that? Because wow, like she's just like, I thought about it one day and like, poof, I'm pregnant. No, and we're gonna talk about her like not so subtle shade to Mary's barren womb throughout these 2 episodes. But yeah, she really is flaunting that fertility. Like, I was just like, yeah, I guess it's time.
So my will be done. Yeah. It was awesome.
But Mary lets us know that they all decided Robin really needed to be the one to get a house first because her kids have like moved so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, sure, Jan. What did you think, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, it was so interesting to see the beginning of the open Robin favoritism and really everybody on Team Justify it right away. All the wives, they're all one team. They're all team, justify everything they give to Robin. And it's just so laughable and fake. And we know, at least over 10 years later, they'll be tired of this. Will grow old fast. And eventually, it'll take a long time, but eventually they will no longer be justifying it. But yeah, it's crazy to watch.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, if I'm And you know, oh my gosh, if I am Christine and Janelle, I and Mary, I have so much like resentment. I wouldn't even know how to like it. There isn't enough therapy in the world to help me process how much resentment I would have towards myself, towards Cody, towards my church, towards like just for like the last 30 years of my life, like what I went through and allowed to happen to not only me but also my kids. Because if I'm Mary Janelle or Christine, I don't give a fuck if your kids have moved 4 times. My kids are being uprooted and they're devastated. All
Mhm.
these kids are. What makes your kids devastation more important than my kids devastation?
Right. Right.
Right. If I'm them, I'm like, every mom go look for your own place ASAP.
Exactly.
Look
Or
for the
whoever,
coolest place your kids
however
like.
it comes up, it comes up. You know, like Mona finds a house, presents it, and Janelle so happened to like the one that came up that one time she found it. So Janelle took that house. Like, why was it not like that? Or even if it is, you know, hey, Cody's saying prayer towards Robin, you know, why not present it like Mona's just finding houses and however let the cookies fall where they are, you know?
Right. Right. But the whole thing that kills me is when you really dissect it, they presented it like, well, my kids, Robin presents it, my kids moved 4 times in the last 2 years, and it's not fair. But the reality of it is that those moves were because you wanted to move. These were all things that you wanted to do. One, two, let's not forget that the OG3 and the OG12 really before Truly came, they had moved a lot. They had moved a lot. And they had only been in that house, the big house that we were so accustomed to seeing them in, the Lehigh house. They had only been there for 6 years.
Mhm.
Prior to that, they had moved and bounced around as well. So you could make the same argument about the other kids as well. That they not only did they move around a lot, but the one time that they finally get settled in a house, now we're uprooting them and taking them somewhere else. For Robin, for you, Robin, because this is exactly what this not only did it happen just in Vegas, but this is exactly what happened in Arizona, where all of a sudden we have to get the hell out of Vegas. And it just so happens that Dayton is going to school down the street. Isn't that amazing? So every time you uprooted this family and destroyed these kids' situations, it's always been for the benefit of one of the wives or one group of kids over the other group of kids.
Mhm.
So like the whole like, and maybe that's why part of the reason why her getting her house first, like in retrospect of it, just strikes me the wrong way because this is how it's always worked out for her. It's always been that way where she's gotten preferential treatment.
But check out this Brown family chaos that they set themselves up for. This was mind-boggling to me. So they're in this vacation rental, but where they're establishing their living quarters, the school district that they register their kids in is a half an hour away from the rental that they're in. So that's a half an hour commute. And all of the kids have different start times for school. So the high schoolers start at 7 a.m., the middle schoolers start at 8 a.m., and the elementary school students start at 9 a.m. And it seems like it's Christine that's waking everyone up for
Right.
school. And what I'm like, I feel like the Browns consistently do things as difficult as possible.
Right. Well, that's mostly because of poor planning. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, I couldn't imagine. Like, I think I said it last week. I couldn't imagine doing this. Like, we're going to move not only to another part of the city, but we're going to move to a whole entire different state. I don't know anybody there. I don't have a place to stay. I have an idea what part of the state I want to live in or what school district my kids are going to be in, but I have nothing locked down. And this is the plan. That's not a plan. And this is part of the reason why everything kind of gets jumbled and rushed the way it does, because it's poorly planned. and poorly situated.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So it just also so happens that Robin gets to move into her new rental or more permanent rental the same day as the kids' first day of school. And as the kids are getting home from school, they ask how school goes. Oh, James is going to be right back, you guys. They ask how school goes. Madison says that she's going back to Utah as soon as she can, and Leon says they hate school. And this was when I was like, this sucks for these kids. What did you think, Amanda?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the whole episode, you really feel for them. They just look miserable and it's hard to watch. And, they're all trying to cope in different ways. We get that whole segment about McKelty, acting out with the clothing and the hilarious bit where McKelty won't go to Cody's church and because of the cameras. Which I
That
thought
was
great.
the best. I love that she used his own nobody makes me bleed my own blood type of thing. Like she totally threw it back in his face and I loved it.
Yeah,
Right.
that was pretty genius. And I think that's why she's, one of the staple early character kids on the show.
Yes.
She's kind of great entertainment wise that way. But other than stuff like that, it's just terrible watching. You just know over and over again that I just am like, why they could have stayed in Lehigh longer and made it a smoother transition. Mm-hmm. Why? Mm-hmm. Just and then the juxtaposed against Cody's dreamy, I'm so happy I banged baby into Robin state. Yeah. You're just like, oh, dude, do you have a heart? Do you care about your own kids?
Yeah. Meanwhile, Hunter's not talking to anyone. Madison is literally plotting her escape. Leon hates everything. These kids are not okay. And meanwhile, Cody's like, not a care in the world.
Well, I had always kind of taken a position, or at least had a thought, that part of the reason why it was so important and it's so imperative for them to move to Las Vegas was because Cody was trying to start his own sect of the AUB in Las Vegas. I think that's what it was, because that's part of the reason why he was agreeing to put the church services that were supposed to be so secret. This service is supposed to be so secret that they wouldn't even film the wedding ceremony when TLC was paying for it. So the idea, McKelty threw that back on him, and he couldn't argue it on TV. So he was just kind of like, okay, yeah, you got that one. But you can see he was pissed because he wants to be that guy. But in order for him to do that, he had to film himself as the leader and the head of that church, because at that time when they were in Las Vegas, he was the high priest of that church. He was the father. He was the one. So technically he was the prophet of that particular area. So I think that's how he helped himself out.
Is revealing on his TikTok reactions and I've followed other ex-Mormon content creators as well. And, there's this important, the way I grew up, the kind of Christianity I grew up in, my parents weren't akin to God to me, God had authority over my parents. Right. But with the way that the Browns grew up and the way I think it's even LDS, when you put that man as the patriarch of the house, as the priesthood holder of the house, they are like God, and they are like a mouthpiece for God. And that can have dire consequences on how these kids are raised, right?
Did you want to go, Amanda?
Oh, I just agree. Yeah, that would be. I mean, think about who Cody is, and and then the word God as beside an equal sign, that that's crazy to even consider letting him have that type of power. When he's like, all he thinks about is like pleasing Robin and pleasing himself. And he's not at all equipped to handle that kind of power.
Right, right. Well, it's the sad part is that as they bequeath the title of God upon themselves, the truth of the matter is that just because you're a God doesn't mean you're a benevolent God. You could be a very selfish God, you know, kind of like the whole Greeks and Roman gods like Zeus and old pantheon of the Olympians, where they were very selfish. Like, oh, you like that chick? You think she good looking? Medusa. Like, you know what I mean? So you turn her into a creature or whatever. So that it's not out of the realm to think of like them being selfish. And I agree with what Amanda said, that everything that he's doing or had done to that point was all to benefit him. And it wasn't for the benefit of the family, wasn't for the improvement of the lives and accentuation of the lives of the children or the wives. It was also that he could get some kind of advantage, so that he could feel a certain kind of way. And when I say that he wants to be the head of the church, this is somebody who wants to be, like, even as described in a book, he jumps in the center of the crowd and wants everybody to pay attention to him. He always wants to be the center of attention. He wanted this show to be about him. My car, like Benjamin, I think he said it, my car, my house, my wives, my kids. It's all about him. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that when he looks at himself, he marries the royalty of his church in both Christine and sans Robin, because she also married one of Aldridge's or Christine grandfather's grandkids. Like, they're related in a crazy way. But and then taking on his kids. So essentially he has two ways into the blue blood line of the church. And then to get out to Vegas, to a place, because the whole idea of them moving out to Vegas and then crying, I think we'll talk about it in the next episode, crying about, oh, nobody from our church is around, but you moved away from everybody in your church. And it only makes sense to me that you moved away from everybody in your church, because now you don't have any of the church elders over top of you. You don't have any of the leadership over top of you, and you are the church now. And I think that that's what he was doing.
That matches the rumors that have been swirling for years that they expected people to follow them, like, from their church, and nobody came.
Yeah, no thank you. I see how that's going. No thank you.
Are you?
That's awesome.
I'm feeling like slut shaming McKelty. Anyone else want to join me? McKelty is pissed as shit about this move, so she's gonna slut it up a little bit. She's gonna wear 2 tank tops, 1 sweater, a scarf, and this is gonna piss Mary off.
Right. And it's kind of sad that it's not even the worst thing that she could have possibly wore. Like, I'm just gonna wear a tank top. Ooh, that's gonna kill him.
Her collarbone, and I was like, I went to a Lutheran school that had a pretty rigid dress code, and I would have been able to wear that to school.
You would have had one of the sisters come over and do the finger test and all that with the skirts and all.
Yeah, our rule was for shorts and skirts had to go past your like, if you were standing and your arms were at your side, had to go past your middle finger. If you raised your arms, you couldn't expose your midriff, and logos had to be smaller than a 3x5 card. And no tank tops, but she was wearing a sweater.
The shame, wearing a sweater and covering them up.
You know, and this, thank you, HS2626, because the collarbone, oh, the temptation, Robin comes in and explains it to us that boys can't handle it. And like, don't give the boys more than they can handle, right? Like, don't tempt them. And I literally hate this. I wish we could just dispel this notion. Like, I have a daughter and I have a son. I am like, my son is 1, so I mean the lessons are not super elaborate or anything, but the intention is to raise my son to not ever think that he is entitled to touch anyone without their consent.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And I'm trying to put myself in a place where I'm not going to French it up. I'm ready to French it up. About to go bilingual. This is one of those things that had always annoyed the hell out of me, because what it says at its core is that men lack the self-control to be able to be in a room with another human being and restrain themselves from attacking said human being because we're attracted to them. To walk around and pretend that men can't control themselves is setting not only the young ladies up, but you're also setting your sons up to find themselves in a very bad situation. A very bad situation. You don't have the right to sit there. If a woman walks in butt naked, that doesn't mean you have the right to walk over there and start grabbing parts like it's a buffet. That's not what it is. That's not the game. That's not what we're doing. You're a human being. You're a person. You have your own mind. They have their own mind. If you choose to wear your outfit, you don't have a right to tell that person, that young man, what to think about you or how to take it. But what you can demand, and this gets into the whole idea of autonomy, what you can demand is what happens to your body and your physical form. You don't, he doesn't have a right to touch you. He doesn't have a right to put his hands on you. He can look if he want to look. He can ogle. He can make whatever mindset that he want to make up in fantasy in his mind that he wants to do that. He's free to do that. But he doesn't have a right to put his hands on you. And it's completely inappropriate for her to tell her daughters or these young ladies that, and certainly inappropriate for her to try to counsel these young men that if a young lady, because that's the opposite side of it. What you're telling your sons is that if a woman walks in with a certain outfit on, then you can do whatever you want or whatever you feel. Yeah. And that will cause problems. I'm gonna leave it there. It'll cause problems.
Yeah, I certainly I will never accept the whole boys will be boys when trying to maybe talk to my son about behavior, because there's no boys will be boys. Like, people act like decent people. That's like how we're raising our kids. And same with my daughter. Like, I tell my daughter, you don't put your hands on people without their consent. Like, if so anyways, right. Oh, hold on. Modesty is such a misguided message with the potential to perpetuate a dangerous culture of taking advantage of women. That's true. This whole notion that because someone is dressed a certain way. Now, would I appreciate someone dressing appropriate for the occasion? Like, someone came to my wedding with an extremely short dress that was like flowy and was doing twirls on the dance floor because, it's a wedding and people saw her underwear. Is that entirely appropriate? Probably not. But does that mean like any old Joe Schmo on the dance floor has the right to go pummel her ass? No.
Right. Right.
But if it's business cash, wear business cash. If the occasion calls for a tie, wear a tie. Other than that, I mean, let's not go thinking that someone's outfit is an invitation to us. I don't think that's ever the case.
Right. And I just don't like the idea that, like I said, I mean, men, especially what's crazy to me is that in season 18 and season 17, 18, 16, 17, and 18, we heard relentlessly Cody talk about culpability. You have to be culpable for your role. But at the end of the day, if a woman comes in and she's wearing something revealing or not, like in your situation, I go to a wedding and a woman's doing twirls and she got the thong rock, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't give me. I have to be culpable for my actions. One, I'm married, so I can't do nothing anyway because I can't say, yeah, baby, you know she had that thong on. You know how I like the dump truck. So, oh well. Like, there's nothing that I'm going to be able to say because I'm responsible for my actions. I'm responsible for what I do. I can't control what somebody else do. I can only control what I do and how I move in this world. And what you're teaching your daughters is that you can say, look, you know, when you put yourself out like that, people are going to take you a certain way, or maybe they'll perceive you a certain way, whatever the case may be. Maybe if that's what you want to tell them, whatever the case, whatever. But for you to tell them, yeah, but if you do that, then you're justifying whatever happens to you. That's completely inappropriate. Anything that happens to you when you do that, yeah, you had it coming. No, hell no. Hell no. And look, I have a daughter, and I'm just saying. I'm just saying, as a father, if you can't control yourself, you put me in a position where I can't control myself, and we don't want that. Like we don't want that to happen. That's all I'm gonna say. That gets me fired up every time I think about it. Oh, you can't wear that because the boy's gonna grab you. They better not grab you. They better not put their damn hands on you.
Kathy makes a good point. If you put your hands on someone, then you're also inviting a reaction. Like, you might get slapped.
Right.
You might have to deal with James.
Yes.
Right. It might not be the reaction that you expected, but you should really expect some type of reaction. I'm just saying, like, people might come and see you. Because it's just inappropriate. Like, it's skeevy as hell, and it goes hand in hand with a lot of the messaging that they're telling them, and ultimately what you're talking to them about. When the way they talk to them, one of the things that really bothers me is that you're teaching them that they don't have control over their bodies. You tell them that they can't date, they can't see anybody. You try to regulate how they feel about people and how they interact. And I get, some limitations on certain things, but you're taking all power and control away from them. And even when Cody was talking to him, what did he say? I control you up until the time that you get married.
Right.
So I won't relinquish, and this is what he said to his daughter. I won't relinquish control over you until another man who I approve of comes in and takes control over you and what you do with your body. And that's the completely inappropriate thing for you to tell your daughter. And it's certainly inappropriate for you to relay that message, whether directly or transitory to your sons, because that's just going to create all kinds of problems for everybody.
Yeah. But, ultimately, after we slut shame McKelty, the parents are talking about how they're really concerned because, they're coming from Utah and this is Vegas, and what kind of influence is Vegas going to have on the kids? And, they cut to like B-roll footage of like the strip of tourists walking around in like Bermuda shorts, like not exactly like the most scandal. They could have been shot to like Rocket Girls or something, right. But they didn't. It was just like people on vacation.
They should have cut to somebody just going to town on a buffet, like the gluttony.
Yeah.
You're right. Well, I mean, you move to a town called Sin City, and then all of a sudden you're surprised. Like, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying before. Like, if you are so particular about the influences of the place that you're moving to, maybe you should do a better job of selecting the place that you plan on moving to. Like, you can't change where you go. Like, if that's how they get down, that's how they get down. That's the culture. That's the culture. All of a sudden, they got all kinds of things. They got women walking around hardly dressed and they don't have any clothes on. Well, that's the culture. You should have thought about that. You could have went to Wyoming. You could have went to anywhere else that would have been a culture just like the one that you came from, if that's what you were really worried about. But
wanted to address this comment, Dean, that I didn't follow the Duggars too closely. I mostly followed like all the legal shenanigans. But fundamentalism, while it has many flavors, a lot of it, I feel like there's a lot of similarities between the different types of fundamentalism. I think that there are a lot of similarities you can see between the Duggars and the Browns, and what they chose to hold up as like ideals for their kids, as far as like purity culture and all of that kind of stuff. But I want to talk about this. So after Robin is talking about how, you know, if you dress a certain way, you're asking for it, she goes to hug Maddie, and Maddie like leans away from her hug. And I was like, oh shit. Did you guys notice that?
No, I didn't catch
Oh.
that.
But I'm going to
not
go back and
surprised.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell in this scene that Maddie was so annoyed by Robin, and I think Robin could sense it, so she was going to like, you know, hug it out with Maddie, because at this time Maddie nicknamed her Birdie. They're like good friends, right? And so she was going in for the hug, and Maddie was like,
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
yeah.
But there were a few times when they had like they would do things that were encroaching on people's personal space. It always kind of came off a little creepy to me. Like they lean in for hugs, or they demand attention or affection from people that don't necessarily want to give that attention or affection. Going in for hugs where people aren't really open to the reception of a hug. Like, it's just, I don't know. Again, it just takes away their autonomy.
Yep, Ben talks about that actually in some of his TikTok reactions, how he notices the lack of the lack of respect for bodily autonomy that especially Cody exhibits. Like, he is, you know, kind of like demanding hugs and kisses from his kids who don't really even know who he is. So they're like uncomfortable showing him that kind of affection. And Ben like points that out. I think that was a really interesting thing you just brought up.
Right. Well, I mean, because it also goes hand in hand with like the I don't like throwing cult around crazy. Like, everything's a cult, but that's where like a lot of the manipulation in some of these groups takes place. Like, you start to lower people's expectation of having autonomy over their physical form. So you get them used to being touched unwanted. You get them used to other people dictating and control what they can and can't do with their bodies. So it's not outside the realm that when you condition them to a certain point, that one, you can direct who they marry. And then once they get married, that next person can take over control over what they do with their physical form and how they do it. So it all makes sense. Like, it's part of the manipulation of the whole religious experience, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Robin and Mary, and I think everyone else, they head back to Utah, and they're getting the rest of their stuff and their pets. They have a lot of animals. I think there was multiple dogs I spotted, multiple cats. And Cody, like, being the animal hater that he is, it's funny to me that they have so many animals that we don't ever really see. But they go back to get them, and we see their like fallout shelter pantry. They're like going through it, and Mary has asked Robin to take a whiff of what she thinks is vanilla pudding, and Robin is like, makes a face like, oh my God, that's disgusting. And I'm telling you right now, if this is what the apocalypse is, just rapture me. I have no interest in surviving off of like MREs or having to fight zombies or whatever. Like, if McDonald's Diet Coke isn't plentiful, take me. I will go to heaven. You know?
Wait, but McDonald's pop is so good.
It's the best.
Why is it so good?
Why? I don't know. They put whatever the additives that they put in it is, give me more. Tap it straight into my veins.
It's probably drugs. They're putting drugs in
right. Coca-Cola.
I just have no like the apocalypse sounds like straight up not a good time. If that's what we're doing.
Well, after the panorama, after the 1/9 happened, it pretty much, I think the pandemic pretty much destroyed anybody's fantasies of like this post-apocalyptic world. You know, because we couldn't even survive where you could just have to stay in the house with your family and you might be limited to only getting 2 rolls or 2 packs of toilet tissue. Like all of a sudden, yeah, people in the streets ready to burn the town down because they had to sit there with their wife for 20 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? So, you know, zombie apocalypse is not going to be the top.
You made me have to be with my wife for 20 minutes.
Right.
Corona!
Right. What the hell? This is not right. I'd rather take my chances with the 1/9. It's safe.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, Amanda, you say pop?
Yeah, well, when I was younger, I said Coke. That's what they say in the South. But then Oklahoma, yeah, I'm a pop. Yeah, in Chicago, everybody says pop too.
Mm.
It's so funny. Do you say supper?
Oh no,
No. Okay.
One.
No, okay.
I had some where were they from? I had old family friends growing up. I think they were from like Missouri or something, and they said supper.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I say fixin', and some people are like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm fixing to go get some food."
Yeah,
and they're like,
Right,
"What are
right.
you fixing?"
You fixing food?
Pop in Oregon and supper in Nashville. They say pop in Canada too.
Mm.
My dad used to say supper, Wyoming Fundy Mormon. Okay, so this is also when Robin, or actually it's Mary, kind of lets the cat out of the bag that she and Robin have had kind of a roller coaster of a relationship. They've had their ups and downs. You know, Mary thought she was doing this great thing, bringing Robin into the family, and things just weren't going super swell.
Right. After 10 months. Let's keep in mind that this is 10 months.
Right. I love how Mary describes it. And she's like, well, I set them up and then they were basically done with me after that. They didn't really want anything to do with me. So
I thought we were good friends. And it's like, this is just a consistent theme for Mary. She thinks that she has, or that she's made to believe, she's gaslit into thinking she has this relationship with Robin and Cody that she doesn't really have. Amanda got taken by the Kremlins. She will be right back, you guys.
Right. Hitting too close to home. One of the things that struck me when she was talking about that was actually that moment during the look back when she brought Jen in. You know what I'm talking about? She brings Jen in and they're talking about the sacred sacrifices and the commitment, the covenant that I made to you. And they were talking about that. And Jen revealed what many of us, especially the YouTube verse, had already said. Like, this is a conversation that already happened. And then when she said it to Mary, Mary was like, you think that's what they did? I kind of feel like that's exactly where Mary is, like that oblivious nature. Like, you got used so that the two of them have cover so that they could be together. And now that they're together, they're done with you. And like, I think if Jen were to say it, if I said it, she'd be like, no, that's not true. You don't understand our relationship. But if Jen said it, she might say, you think that what? I had not considered that. Yeah, that's what happened. You got used.
Yeah. So Mary thinks she's pretty much worked through all her jealousies, but then we come to talk about how Mary she finds her house last. And we start talking about whether or not Mary should get the same size house that the other wives got. And this is when Robin thinks she is coming to Mary's defense, but she like really just knife in the back to Mary is like, just because Mary's barren and her womb is full of cobwebs doesn't mean she doesn't deserve nice things, you guys. Welcome back, Amanda.
Right. Back in the house.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize every week. I'm so sorry.
No, it's the worst. That's why we all here. But just to your point, I think that it is a kick in the teeth when she turns around and says that. But I will say this. I think that what that demonstrated to me was the selfish nature of this entire thing. Like when we talk about polygamy, everybody's supposed to be looking out for everybody else and everybody's supposed to be making sacrifices. But when it came down to it, nobody was sensitive to the fact that they were just blowing money out their ass except for Janelle. And they were just blowing money. And, Christine is saying, well, it doesn't make a difference because I don't think that money is that important. Of course, you're taking that position because you're not earning the money. Mm-hmm. Janelle is earning the money. She knows what the bank account looks like. Cody, I've taken a position for a time. And if Janelle sees this and wants to correct me, please do. Cody, please do. But I've taken a position for a time that Janelle was, in fact, the chief breadwinner in the family. She was the one providing for the family. She was the chief provider. And so when they're talking about we need to get 4 independent houses and have Mary get, because technically she didn't get a house that was as big room-wise as the other people because she only had a 3-bedroom house, but her rent was just as much as the 6-bedroom houses that they had. Mm-hmm. And nobody said, you know what? Let's be fiscally responsible. Like that word never comes up with regard to them kind of restraining themselves, except for unless you're trying to hold somebody else down. Let's be responsible. Let's have 2 of us move into a house, only rent 2 houses so that way we're in a better position to be able to buy a house. Because Janelle and Christine could have moved in a house. Mary and Robin could have moved into a house. Yep. And it would have been what it is.
Yep.
And technically, the craziest house would have been Janelle and Christine's house because they have all the damn kids.
Yeah. I mean, the kids were talking about how they all wanted to live together anyways.
Right. And they would have made their day. Like, they would have been happy as hell.
And Cody was talking about how he hated going from house to house. If he only had to go between 2 houses, that would have made his life easier too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? This is where production really drops the ball for me. Because you're right. Like, why is nobody going, hey, team, why aren't Mary and Robin sharing a place? Why aren't we getting some answers? Like, because I wanted to see them sweat in season 2 or 3, whatever this was, and be like, oh, we could never destroy. Like they're so fake with the like, oh, kumbaya, like destroy it.
Yeah. Thank you for the super sticker, Kathy. We appreciate it.
All right.
Kelly, cringy to have Cody talking about his daughter's pouty lips when he officiated Maddie's wedding. I forgot about that. That's extremely uncomfortable. Yeah. But he does say stuff like that, right? Like he called Ariella the social lubricant of the family. Like, yeah. Even referring to his littlest kids as tender age always just makes my skin itchy. Like I don't like it.
Ooh.
Thank you, Aunt Mitty. We want tell-all books from the OG, but can you imagine a book from Dayton post-breaking from Sobs and her puppy dog? I'd read that for sure. I would read anything that any of the kids put out. We're down to just McKelty on Patreon. And we take what we get. So let's see. Okay, Mona finds a house for Mary. Yeah, and Robin swoops in to say Mary isn't trying to go after their perks, like having a bigger house, just because she's lacking in her own life. And Robin, yeah, she just always has a way with words. And I never realized this, but they show us a map, and Robin and Christine's houses are on the same street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're like they're almost right across from each other.
Yeah.
When they
So
did
when they have that like block party, it's like,
right.
Yeah, it's on that street.
Right. Yeah, you could look from you could actually see each other's house. And that's what I mean. Like both of them had 6-bedroom homes. So technically, if they would have moved into those houses, they would have literally been across the street from one another. So they could have done that and then saved up enough money to be able to purchase a home or do whatever they wanted to do responsibly, especially since you didn't take time to plan it out and really put it together for your move. That would have been the most responsible thing in the short term, but the hell with that, you know?
So they attend this block party. We meet Grandma Edna, and I wish we saw more of her. She was, man, she was worth at least a 3-episode arc, but we only get her for this short period of time. She is initially she's so grossed out by these people, but then her daughter convinces her that they're just like everyone else, even though they have perverted sex lives. I'm just like imagining what Edna says behind closed doors, right?
That's totally what she says. They're gonna burn in hell, but they're
love the sinner, hate the sin. I bet you anything Edna has uttered that phrase once or twice in her life. But then the best part of the block party is when Cody meets, like, it gets introduced to this family, and he mistakes this young man's daughter as his wife, or this man's young daughter as his wife. And the guy's like, nah, this is my daughter. And Cody's like, well, usually in polygamy, the 14-year-olds are wives.
But we're not like Warren Jeffs.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're not like Warren Jeffs, even though I'm going to crack jokes about how I'm just like Warren Jeffs.
And Cody's just like, oh, there we go. Put my foot in my mouth. Like, I didn't mean to say that 14-year-olds get married in our religion, but there I went.
There I go telling family business again.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was. But it's just, like, I think that it's just creepy in and of itself that they would even say that. Like he thought it. And I can see, like, who hasn't been in that situation where you kind of, your mouth get ahead of your brain and you say too much or at the wrong place. Okay, fine. But at the same time, your entire show is about defeating these stereotypes. Right. And here you are supporting those stereotypes.
In the second season.
Right.
We're not even far into this yet.
Right. Well, I tell you what, you guys want to see the autobiographies. What I want to see, I mean, I will read the autobiographies or the stories, the books. But what I want to see what's on the cutting room floor. I want to see that footage that didn't make the show, and I definitely want to see the too hot for TV stuff. Like, because they have a bunch of stuff. They were like, if we put this on, this show is over. I want to see that.
Oh, yes. McKelty has talked about the fact that, I don't know if they do this like currently, but the parents used to get like advanced copies of the episodes, and they would sometimes ask for things to be removed. And sometimes production would acquiesce and take stuff out. So I would love to see the stuff that was made the show but then got taken out. I would love to see that footage.
I can't believe they have that power. That's sorry, go ahead, James. But I like it's like it pisses me off that they had that power.
Yeah.
Well, but I agree with you, and I kind of suspect that they didn't have that power, with the exception of things that were so bad that when the Brown family objected to it, it got back to the TLC folks and a production team, and they were like, if we put this out, this is it. So we'll pull it out. Like, it must have been so bad that they were just like, no, if we do this,
I fully
is the
believe
last
they've
season.
cut stuff from the show that probably would have gotten the show canceled if
Right,
they left
right,
it in.
right.
100% believe that.
Because what they put on the show was just bad.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you so much for the super sticker, Comedy Mod, coming in
Right.
hot. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. That's so
Dropping
generous.
bombs, awesomeness.
So we wrap
agree.
up the season finale of season 2 with this cliffhanger. An important announcement is coming.
Mhm.
And it's Robin's pregnant, and it's all about telling barren ass Mary first so she can like deal with that privately. What do you think about, was that thoughtful and considerate, or was it rubbing Mary's face in it? Because I kind of got both vibes from Robin.
It's hard. When I first watched this episode, I think I did give Robin the benefit of the doubt.
Mhm.
But it the edit doesn't do any favors because you're like, it just goes on and on and on. It's really a longer. I don't know. Now it's hard to think. I'm just so biased against Robin. I'm like, knowing who she is, like, of course she's like got selfish, egotistical motives. I don't know. What do you think, James?
Well, I think that it's I think you're right. I agree with you. I think that maybe it is my darker view of her, but at the end of the day, I think it started out in a place where I'm going to essentially, and this is the insulting part of it, it's kind of a backhand comment, because you're saying that I have to pull Mary aside because she's so fragile that if this happens, she's going to lose her shit. Yes, I'm just going to tell her first so that way she can lose her stuff in private, and then we can tell the group. So you have that, which could be a kind gesture, but at the end of the day, I don't think Robin could help herself. Like, you know what I mean? Like she can't help but to make this about her and how she feels about it. So even when she told her and she said, well, I'm pregnant and I'm about to have a baby, and Mary says, I'm so happy for you. She's like, are you really? Are you really? And she kept like asking her, like she wanted her to get pissed off and punch her in the face. Like, I don't know. Like she's surprised. Like, what are you talking about? She's happy.
Tears.
I'm happy. Good. Let's go.
Thank you so much for the super sticker, Deborah. It's so kind.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because so as we open season 3, episode 1, it's all about Robin telling Mary, and Cody is just like, I'm so glad Robin is telling Mary. So Cody doesn't have to, obviously. But Robin wants to be able to baby clothes shop with Mary. And my note was like, she really just wants to rub her face in it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Look what I can do that you can't do. Yeah. I mean, it's always gonna come off that way, though.
I will say though that I do feel like Mary genuinely cares about all of the kids. I don't know if she necessarily perceives them all as her kids, and I don't know if they perceive her as like their mom the same way like Janelle's kids definitely perceive Christine as like another mom. But there is an affection that Mary has, like a genuine care that Mary has for the kids. And it even extends to Robin's kids. And that's not to say that Janelle or Christine don't care about Robin's kids, but I just feel like they kind of were cut off almost from Robin's kids in this weird way. So, but yeah, even Mary can love Robin's kids. Mary can have all these genuine affections for babies. But if I'm struggling with fertility, the last thing that I think that I would want to do is go baby clothes shopping, right? I don't know.
Right. Well, from Mary's perspective, I can see it being hurtful, but from Robin's perspective, given the three or the other three available options, Mary is hands down the safest person for you to be involved with if you're looking at it from a selfish perspective. Because with Christine, she has a child that's only maybe less than a year older, or maybe a year older than Solomon. So she has somebody right around that same age group. So if you hang out with her, that child takes some shine away from Solomon. Because you know when you walk around with your baby, oh, look at that baby, so cute. She's got a baby too, so she's going to get some. Yeah, look at the little girl is so precious. Especially Truly was a cute button. Like she was just so cute. Anyway, like she just did.
That was one bald baby, man. Both my kids had full heads of hair, and I'm just like loving Truly being like Mr. Clean, little Mr. Clean.
Right, but she's just interested. Like Truly was an interesting to watch little girl. Like she had charisma, you know.
Yeah.
And so hanging out with her, no, Christine's not a no-go. Plus, Christine likes hanging out with kids, so she could dominate. She could even dominate and step into Robin's world and take over her kids. If she don't watch herself, she got to keep her separate. Mm-hmm. Then you have Janelle. She has the boys that Cody loved. Boys being boys. He has the boys. She has the boys that Cody wants to go to the not soccer, but the football practices, the wrestling, and all that. So you want to keep her separate. With Mary, she had Leon, but Leon was older. And so you didn't really have to worry about them. And Mary could come around and you could deal with her how you want to deal with her and then send her home. And she's not real competition for you, especially because she can't have it. There's no threat that Mary's going to come back with a baby on you. Mm-hmm. You know, Christine, maybe. Janelle, probably not, because she would decide not to, but she could. But Mary's the only one that would be safe in that way. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think she chose it.
Starchasm, thank you so much for the super sticker. That's so nice, you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, Starchasm in the house.
Yes. So Robin announces that she's 6 weeks along, and I like, she must have been so on top of things, because both my pregnancies, I was further along. I think I was like 8 weeks along when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, and like 8 or 9 weeks when I found out I was pregnant with my son. 6 weeks is like, I feel like as early as you could find out, unless you're doing like IVF and you know like exactly the day and you know when to test and stuff. It's like, that's really early. It was, right. I just like noted that and I was like, whoa, that's crazy early. You're like,
well, unless she was
pregnant.
Yeah, unless she's tracking, it's crazy early. It's crazy early. Insane.
Yeah, it's really early to announce.
Yeah, unless she's tracking. I think she found out because she might have been tracking her ovulation cycle. And she might have been planning on getting pregnant. Yeah. So the minute she hit, like, around the time when she would be having her pregnancy, you run out and get a dang on test to find out.
Sierra said she knew around 4 weeks.
Wow.
Okay. I'm just, I mean, I am not the most observant person in the world. So that is one thing to take note. But yes, I was just like, oh my gosh. But Robin does Robin-splain what it feels like when sister wives announce pregnancies to us, as if she knows what that feels like. Like, Robin, girl, shut up. Like, when have you ever had to deal with finding out a sister wife was pregnant?
Right.
Never.
Oh, man.
Right. And for me, it would have landed a lot better if one of the other ladies would have said it. That same speech would have worked so much better had one of the other wives said it. Like, oh, this just is a confirmation that they're actually knocking boots. Yeah, okay, fine. You know, but for Robin to say it is, again, this is that it falls in line with the whole backhand comment. Like, yeah, just so y'all know, yeah, I'm tearing him down. Like, okay, we get it. That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
They're obviously jealous that I've been riding him like a cowgirl every night. Yeah.
That's why I don't ride in the Lexus without the top down. Like, you know what I mean? I know you've been in the car. We'll put it that way. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Stop it.
Oh my goodness. Conspiracy. Yep, that was me. Thank you so much for the super chat. Cody waited to court Robin till after Christine was pregnant, knowing it would be Christine's last pregnancy. So no competition for R forever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was also thinking because, today's my daughter's birthday and she turned 5 and she's entering this like new era. She's like a little kid now. She's not like a toddler anymore. She's not a baby anymore. And this is like really fun to like be growing up with my daughter. Like we're growing into a new era. Like my son is 1, but he's going to be growing up too. I got my tubes tied after I had my son, so I am not having any more kids. I was thinking about what it would be like to never exit that baby phase. Like because that's a tough phase. And Cody loves making kids and whatever, and he's in the business of kids, but like Cody has a 30-year-old. Logan just turned 30, and Ariella is 8. Like,
right.
He has never not had like little kids.
Well, yeah, I agree, and I see where you're coming from, and I 100% like if for the mothers, I agree with that statement 100%. But for Cody and for some guys, I won't even put it just on Cody. For some guys who have a bunch of kids, just because you have a bunch of kids don't mean you have a bunch of kids. You understand what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he can deal with those kids when he wants to. So that's a lot different than you having the kids in your house, in your home, and you're dealing with them 24/7, and you're having to deal with, 12-year-olds all the way down to newborn babies. That's a totally different experience. So I think when especially the way Cody talks about it, especially in season 18, where he's sitting amongst his buddies, if I have a problem with one wife, I just go over to the other wife house. I'm sure that also applies to dealing with the children. You know what I mean? Like if one of them kids start acting up, one kid get a toothache, they start teething, I don't want to deal with the crying. I just go over to Janelle's house, chill for a little bit. Or I go over to Mary's house where I only have to deal with Leon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. Like
there's no way he was like changing poopy diapers all the time and like in the trenches. Like, yeah, totally different for Cody.
Yeah, because I was just thinking about the fact that one of like the toughest eras of parenting for me was, and my husband, was potty training with my daughter. I could not imagine constantly potty training. Like that sounds
right.
Like that sounds about as good as surviving the apocalypse to me. Like I just not interested in that.
So for you, it's like the apocalypse and potty training.
Potty, exactly. And no McDonald's Diet Coke. We'll put that right.
Either way, shit is happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just install a fountain drink machine right next to your toilet, Sarah, and child gets a fresh pop every time they go into 201.
I was like, okay, so, and I'm seeing in all these Facebook mom groups that people being like, oh, my kid's 18 months old and is potty trained already. It's like, good for you. I'm so happy for you. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there and the struggle is real. But I'm reminding myself, like, eventually, I've never seen like an adult that has to wear a diaper because they just never learned to potty train. They might have to for other reasons, but like it's not because they just never got the hang of it, right? So like eventually this is gonna stick, and eventually it did. But that's thinking about just having kid after kid after kid and having to do that over and over and over again. Nah, man, I'm tapping out.
Right. Well, I think that too, there's a certain, I'm about to say deleterious, but there's a certain part of it that distracts away or takes away from the whole experience, because after a while, like if you do that over a course of years, like say Cody, I'm gonna give Cody all the credit right now. Be ready, buckle up, Buttercup, because I'm ready to give Cody some credit. I'm gonna say, in the crazy alternate universe, the multiverse, Cody is like a hyper involved super dad who's always there for all his kids. If you have that many children over that course of time period, that's who you are. And the scariest part to me is that once you're done or you exit that position, who are you after that? Like once you stop having kids, who are you? Because you're the guy who always has a baby bag on his back. And now all of a sudden, no baby bag and your kid is 8. What do you do? Like I'm sure your schedule is open wide the hell up though. Because I mean, you're not doing kids all the time, but when you're doing kids all the time, like that is who you are. And that the sad part is, and this is where I question that because I don't see that, especially when Cody sat on that on Coyote Pass in season 16 and said, you guys are in the way of my goals. That's not the statement of somebody who's been dealing with kids every day for the last 20, 30 years. Yeah. That's not something that, you know what I mean? And that's part of the reason why I take the position that I did.
So Robin and Cody and Mary, she gets suckered in. They make this announcement. Fallout commences. No one's really all that thrilled about it, except for Christine, who is the most horrible sister wife, is all overjoyed and goes and gives Robin a big ol' hug.
Right.
Just more proof that Christine is such a horrible sister wife. And Robin is noticing that Janelle doesn't look particularly thrilled. And Janelle tells us in the couch interview, like, girl, it is not all about you. I am thinking about how we all don't have jobs and how are we going to like pay for shit because, things cost money. It's
in the real world.
Yeah. It's interesting that Janelle is sitting here stressed about money and nobody else seems to be concerned about renting 4 houses. I think Christine even says like, money, our kids are what's most important or something like that.
Money shmoney,
Right.
She's like,
money's
there's
not
no more important things than money. Like the things that you need money to do and buy. Like what?
Right.
You says that people who don't make money. Like if you made the money, your position will be completely different. And I think that's where kind of line was drawn. And that again, that supports my belief that Janelle was the breadwinner because she was the one who was sitting there concerned about like, guys, we are blowing money like crazy. We have 4 houses that we're renting. We don't own jack or shit. And we're out here furnishing houses. You got Robin excited. Not only, Robin and Cody, they're like 2 high school kids. We having a baby. It's great. Like, this is horrible. Like, this is not horrible news, but it's like, this is not part of the plan. And when you say that you purposely went and did that, that is the most selfish shit you could have possibly done. That's selfish as hell. Janelle, we got to keep in mind, Janelle cashed in her 401k so that they could move out to Vegas. So you're sitting on my 401k money, my retirement money that I've been putting away for the last 15, 20 years and my job that I've been going to every day. And I've been saving my checks and cutting up my checks and my kids have been going without. I cashed that in, took the penalty, the taxes, and everything else so we could come out here and you come in with another bill. And I'm already taking care of Robin, her 3 kids, and her previous debt. And you come in with another damn bill. So, yeah, I would have, to be honest with you, I said it last night. I would have put that food on the floor. That food I'd have got my plate. Kids, get your plates. Because this table is going over. I'm ruining the party. Party's over, guys. Wow. Get your plates.
This really interesting, subplot of season 3, episode 1, and it was of them exploring this. I think it was like a Pentecostal church for like a potential youth group for their kids. And, Christine and Robin and Cody are very apprehensive about this. Poor Pastor Ray. He's like, all are welcome. Like, we like don't judge, like your kids are welcome here, whatever. And Janelle's like, cool, this seems like a dare program that my kids can go to after school and not get into any trouble. Like, I'm totally down for this. Mary's on board because they've said their kids can choose, and that, you know, this Pentecostal church is like kind of sort of the same as their fundamental Mormon beliefs. So like, why not? And Christine like flips the F out. She says in front of this pastor that she feels like they're just going to throw their kids to the sharks. The sharks. Amanda, as a pastor's kid.
Oh God. I would have paid so much money to switch this like gentle, lovely Pastor Ray with my father. Like, he was quite a fire and brimstone preacher, but my dad was not gentle Ray. Like, he would have given it right back to Christine and been like, well, then at least, you know, y'all are a bunch of sinners you're ruining your kids. I'm just being nice here, offering my, you know, social whatever. And here you come insulting me. Like, my dad would have flipped his lid. But this was such an epic scene. Like, thank God Christine lost her marbles because we got this epic scene.
Right.
And then it was so funny because this ends up devolving into a like argument that they rope the oldest kids into. And I noticed that they included McKelty, and they usually leave her out. So like, she was deemed worthy to have this conversation. It starts off with Logan really kind of mediating this argument between Janelle and Cody about whether or not it's okay for the kids to go to this youth group, as if they're sending their kids off to like a meth house is like what they're. I kind of get it. Okay. I kind of get it. Like, this is not your faith. So, you know, like, you're worried about undue influence maybe on your kids. I don't know. But like, I don't know. I went to a Lutheran school, and there were non-Christian kids that went to our school. There was like Muslim kids, there was Jewish kids. Like, at the end of the day, it was a school, you know? And I think that's how Janelle was looking at it. At the end of the day, it's like a gathering of kids. But anyways, it was really interesting. What did you guys think of this discussion?
What did you think, Amanda?
I thought it was wild. I mean, just the fact that, like you said, Sarah, they chose to include the kids. You can see how desperate they are to get this resolved because there's so much turmoil with the kids going on. You know, the kids handle it like overly maturely. They seem up for anything other than Hunter, who doesn't care, which poor Hunter. Of course, Robin comes off terribly annoying like usual. So yeah, it was a wild scene.
Well, because we're talking about like the church part, or the meeting
church
afterwards.
Meeting, then the discussion amongst the parents that ultimately led to the discussion with all of the kids, where Maddie just there have been like ick moments of exploiting the kids in these last several episodes, I feel like. But one thing I love these seasons is like angsty Maddie. Like, she's in her Avril Lavigne era, and I love it. She's just like, I hate our church.
Right.
Love it.
Oh, it was a Presbyterian, not Pentecostal. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, Pentecostal? They weren't like buns and skirts down to their knees, were they?
I'm sorry.
I missed that.
I misspoke.
Well, because here's what I think. Like, I think while they were at the church, it revealed like the cultish nature of their faith, that they can't even take the risk. Like, and this is and to me, this is the weakness in your faith, in your religion. This exposes the weakness in your faith, that you can't expose your kids. You're so afraid to expose your kids to other faiths, beliefs, and other people because you're afraid that if they meet somebody else, they'll realize that they tied into the bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if your faith is so strong and it's so powerful that you could expose your kids to other things. And it wasn't like you went into the church or the rectory or the church meeting room and dude had like stripper poles hanging off the thing. It was like, yeah, come on in. We got fun time on Saturday. We have the Dollar Wednesdays. We got the Toss 'em Up Tuesdays. Like, that's not what was going on. It sounded like it was like a CYO. Like I grew up Catholic, so we had the Catholic Youth Organization, which is just basically a bunch of kids. We would get together, we would plan trips. Like I planned trips all over the place with that group. And we would rent buses, we would do stuff, and it was just activities for the kids to be able to be a part of something so that way they could just hang out with like-minded kids to do fun activities. We didn't sit up there and have church during the time when we had meetings, unless, any religious thing we would have, it'd be a separate and apart thing. So I'm sure that's what they were doing, but they took it to the extreme notion of we're feeding our kids to the sharks by having them hang out with other kids with other beliefs. That's called public school. They're already there.
Here goes Pastor Dan. I'd like to provide a safe environment. They have a ping pong table. Oh, it's the shark. It's the shark.
Yeah, right. Ping pong table did it. Like, it's just weird. And the one part I did like with Maddie, I kind of took it as like, I hate our church. I kind of took it that she might have been talking about the church Cody was doing on Sunday. Not necessarily the church that they attended back in Utah, but the church Cody was doing. And like, I hate the fact that we're going to church and it's only the family. Because remember, McKelty wasn't the only one who tried to avoid going on Sunday. McKelty also tried to avoid going, but Janelle was like, come on, put your clothes on because we're going. And Janelle made Maddie go. But I do like Maddie when she said, are we done?
Like, yes, Cody hated that. He was like, he like snapped at her. Yeah. He was like, you got, what did he say? I forgot.
It was kind of like, yep, we're done. Like,
yeah, it was basically like, F you, my daughter.
Yeah, but Maddie hit her with the, are we done or we finished? You know what I mean? So I was all about that. But I will say that during that meeting, the kids actually had the most responsible responses and contributions to the conversations, much more than the adults. The adults were operating on like emotion and irrational like positions, and with this just what I want, and that's all I want, and I don't want to discuss it. Where the kids were coming in like, look, I just want to have other kids to hang out with. And I also appreciate what's her name, Janelle, her position, because she also had to deal with her son who was acting out of sorts. Hunter was acting out of sorts, and she was concerned about him. So she wanted to involve him in something where she thought she was saving her child. So that was the position that she was taking. And that's why she was so adamant about them participating in that group.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's like frustrating because she's so desperate, and you know why. We can all see Hunter. He is really in it. You know why she's so desperate. Janelle's not some flippy dramatic. This is Janelle, and Janelle is like really desperate. And then you've got Cody, Christine, and Robin just no, it's the sharks. The sharks. It's like this woman is desperate. Right. Like, are you crazy?
Yeah, but. Luckily, we get this really endearing moment at the end of season 3, episode 1, and we can kind of wrap up on this. They throw a pool party for the older kids. Logan is kind of like the man about town with all these ladies in the pool. Right. But Hunter really has no interest in participating in the pool party. Come to find out, he calls up Christine. Christine's like, please come over. And this is when we learn that Hunter and Truly have this like really amazing bond. And Christine says that she feels like Truly has been the best therapy for Hunter. And I just thought that just like melted my heart into a million pieces. What did you guys think of that?
Oh, well, I'll say this. I think that, two parts. First part, Logan in the pool with a bunch of girls. That's all good. because it was a boy and it was their son.
Yes.
Now, flip side to that, if they would have found out there was a boy at a party that the girls were going to, they would have lost their shit. If there was
Yeah.
a bunch of boys in the pool and McKelty would have came out and wanted to jump in the middle of the pool, they would have lost their shit. So it's just like that. It's that hypocritical nature of how they reared it and how they dealt with the sexuality of their children. The other part of it, with Hunter going to Christine, reading the book and then like looking at these episodes, it occurs to me that Hunter may have felt betrayed by his mom, which is why he tended to lean on Christine. Because when you think about it, at least from my perspective, if Janelle was in fact the chief breadwinner, none of this would be possible if Janelle didn't go along with it. So yeah, Cody might have been the one who said Robin wants to move to Vegas and this is what we're doing, but none of that would be possible unless his mom decided to go along with it. So he may very well have felt like my mother is betraying me because I'm suffering so much. They took so much away from me, and she's the reason why it's happening. And that could have thrown a wrench into their relationship. So it's cool that they did have that. This is the one time polygamy actually benefited him. It's cool that he had that other resource and that other adult to be able to lean on. So. Yeah.
That's a really good point. I think ultimately the kids, I my last note on my notes is, yay, the kids are making friends. But
sinners who don't go to any churches.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is so many of like Janelle's kids have made their like permanent homes Vegas. So I find that to be really interesting. They kind of took that to be like their home base. A bunch of Christine's kids kind of made Utah their home base. So I find it really interesting which sets of kids view like home base as. But you know, it's so sad the way that the family has ended up, and it's so weird watching the show from the beginning and seeing all these blatant moments that just predict the downfall. It's like, it's wild.
Right.
It's also wild knowing like how hard it is, the move and getting acclimated, finding the houses. It's also wild knowing like, because the whole time I'm watching these two episodes, I'm like, they're going to throw all of this away so that Robin and Cody can be close to Dayton's college in about, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. So it's kind of like, it's wild that they're putting so much effort into getting acclimated and the friends and let's get the pool ready. Let's do what we can to help the kids with the pastor and the whatever. It's like, you're going to throw all of this away in 4 years because Robin wants to.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And that's an excellent point, because one of the things that really strikes me, and a position I've always taken, is that the ironic part about it is that if you could imagine, had they not moved from that cul-de-sac and then had events worked out the way they did, where all of a sudden the world shuts down because of the panorama, I don't know if we can say it, but you know what happened in 20, the whole world shuts down, but the Brown family has that cul-de-sac that they can interchange with each other. They can go to each other's houses, and they're in a centralized location. There's a possibility, and maybe it's for the good, maybe it's for the bad, but there's a possibility that they would actually still be together had they done that. But because Cody seemed so, breakneck, desirous to appease Robin and chase after Robin and anything that she wanted, he set his family down a path to where they went out to Arizona, they broke apart, and they never came back together. And he did it one too many times. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was when they went to Arizona, and you talk about Gabe having an opportunity to do football and wrestling, and scouts are coming to see him, and so much opportunity. Gwendolyn said she had so much opportunity because she was about to do student government. She won her position, and they were actually putting roots down. And they said, you know what? we're going to move to Arizona and they'll get over it. Because remember when we moved to Vegas and Hunter had that hard time and he got over it? Then these kids will get over it. And in that case, I think that their victories actually led to their defeat.
Good.
They got too comfortable.
That is a good place, I think, a very astute observation that we will wrap up for tonight on. I see a bunch of people have dinner and all of that jazz. But thank you so much for joining us all tonight. What do you guys have coming up, James?
Well, I got my new sound system and I haven't hooked it up yet, but I have my new stuff in. So I have some videos that I plan on doing. I kind of stopped doing them because my audio is all jacked up, but I will have videos dropping this week. Some singles. So check those out.
Nice. And how about you, Amanda?
Oh, wait.
Oh,
One more
sorry.
thing. And I have a new channel coming out, my take on Family Court, which will be dropping this week. So keep an eye out on that.
We will subscribe for sure.
Right.
Cool.
There you go.
Can't wait.
Awesomeness.
Yeah, follow my community posts. I'm got some stuff in the works. So yeah.
Nice. And
Cool.
Lizzie B, thank you so much. What do you think season 19 will bring? Vow renewals, a wedding, more accusations? For sure, more accusations. Definitely.
Yeah, right.
I think odds are good of a vow renewal. Oops, sorry. But we will see. We shall see.
Oh, don't forget to thank the mods.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much to our wonderful moderators.
Right.
I know Starkasm. I see Lizzie B.
Rochelle J.
Kendra, I think I saw as well. Did I already? Oh, B Cat. Yes. So yes, thank you, everyone. James, do you want to?
Oh, I have Lizzie B and I have Rochelle J. In the house.
Nice. All right, you guys. Well, have a good evening. Take care, and we will see you guys in our next respective videos. Bye.
All right. Take it easy.
Bye.